So what are the different ways to teach online? Whether you're an existing coach or trainer and you have your own physical business, or you're just starting out and you're trying to diversify your income, here are some options you can consider. Hey guys, Adam here from Hustle Savvy, helping you grow your audience online and build a business around your skills and passion. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and that bell icon so you get notified whenever I upload new videos. Teaching online not only can help diversify your existing teaching or coaching business, especially now during this time of pandemic and uncertainty, it can be an additional source of income, and it can be quite passive if done right. Over the years, the various online platforms have improved dramatically for both educators and also learners. But here's the thing, there's just so many tools and different ways you can get started online now that it can get very overwhelming. So here are 3 options that I've narrowed down to kind of simplify your thought process, and these are 3 options you should really consider. Okay, so option number 1, if you're an existing coach or you own a coaching business or a training business, you can actually start hosting these virtual classes online. And you can use webinar softwares to kind of facilitate all this. Now, this is a huge advantage because you can just take your existing syllabus and training material and tweak it a little bit here and there to adjust to the online environment. The other advantage is the fact that you already have a client list. So you don't necessarily have to have a huge social media following. You don't have to build an audience. So you can just go straight to your existing clients, maybe show them a demo, and then kind of ease and educate them into this whole new concept. Well, it's not really a new concept, but to a lot of people, they've never actually tried even attending an online webinar. So it's best to get them educated. Now, speed is an advantage here. This is a huge pro for all you coaches and trainers because, like I mentioned, you already have a client list, you already have your syllabus, you don't have to rethink that much, you just need to tweak it, and then you're good to go. Now, the only downside is you have to set up your webinar software, you have to figure out the different options that are out there and kind of tinker around with the settings. But here are a few main things to consider without making this an entirely different video altogether. Number 1 is the quality of the connection. Now, obviously, because you're delivering a class online, you want to make sure that you just click play or click launch and everything's fine. Not only that, you want to make sure that the connection between you and your students is great, but the other way around as well, you want to make sure that these softwares are hosting good enough quality that even your students can join without any problems. Number 2, you want to check whether or not they have proper interaction systems and features in place to make your webinar more exciting. Now, this is up to you, of course, and your students whether or not it's an important feature, but to most people it is. Some settings that you want to consider, for example, for Zoom, one of the webinar softwares that I think would work best, basically the student can actually press one button and raise their hand virtually. And this way they can indicate that they potentially have a question, they're a bit confused about what you're saying right now, or maybe you're not making one of your points clear enough. You can also look for features where you can set it so that when students come in, they're automatically mute. So this way you won't get any interruptions and you can customize it depending on the teaching style and the workflow that you have for your webinar. You can customize this in many different ways, and then you can educate your attendees and your students how best to participate in this webinar. Last but not least, capacity. You have to make sure that your webinar software has enough capacity for the number of participants or attendees that you're going to have. So for example, there might be just capacity for 100 people. Some might go 500. In some cases, in fact, a lot of cases, you can just top up more capacity by just, well, paying them more money. And this can range from like I said, 100 to maybe 1,000 students or participants at any given time. Now, speaking of price, this can be as low as $15 per month. It can also be hundreds of dollars per year and upfront payment too. I've seen some companies that actually start charging in that model. They got rid of their monthly subscription. So depending on your budget and depending on what kind of features you're looking for, what kind of needs that you have, you might want to really compare the prices and put that into consideration. As I mentioned before, there's just so many softwares for webinar hosting nowadays. I'm going to put a link in the description below to recommend another content creator who's done all the work of comparing different softwares for webinars. However, if you are still overwhelmed and you need help to set up your webinar, I'll also leave another link in the description where you can reach out to me directly and I can see whether or not I can help you in some way. I mean, I gotta do something during this whole restriction movement and lockdown. Option number 2, this is for you to create a pre-recorded online course and sell it in online marketplaces. Yep, the main difference between this option and the option before is the fact that hosting a webinar is usually live, although you can have some options to pre-record it, but the whole point of purchasing the software is to have all the interactions. But when you do an online course, it's all pre-recorded beforehand and you just need to then host it somewhere so that students can enroll to it. Now, one of the advantages of being able to do this in marketplaces such as Udemy and Skillshare is that you don't need an existing website at all. You don't need any online presence and you can already get started. The other advantage is that you can get started with no upfront cost other than the cost of recording your actual online courses and modules. So all you need to do is sign up, create a profile, and start populating your profile accordingly. You'll go through an onboarding process as well, where these people from Udemy or Skillshare will guide you through and get you well equipped and just kind of give you a glimpse on how to deliver an online course. Usually, you can easily get accepted into these marketplaces. However, if they do filter out, I don't think it really matters that much, because at the end of the day, there's a rating system where students can rate your course. And from there, you can see out of 5 stars, how many stars is your own course, and then that will influence the purchasing decision of other students. Now, I say purchasing decision, but in actual fact, a platform like Udemy is slightly different business model compared to Skillshare, where Udemy, you'll need to purchase each course individually, which is making it like a true marketplace, while Skillshare, you'll need to subscribe per month and you get access to all of the courses. Now, the great thing about going to online marketplaces, as I mentioned before, you don't need an online presence, and you can also participate in their promo and marketing initiatives. They spend a lot of effort, a lot of money and resources into doing these initiatives, and what they can do is get eyeballs from different places depending on their different categories and then different needs that they have, and you don't have to do a single thing. Now, to the disadvantages of selling online courses in marketplaces is that, well, they own a lot of things and they'll get a huge cut from it. You usually won't have any control on your pricing either, especially on Udemy once you've kind of enrolled to their promotional marketing initiatives. The other disadvantage is that they will probably own almost all of your students' contact information. What I mean by that is that despite the fact that you can comment and reply on your students' comments, you might even be able to reach out to them via their inboxes, that is the platform's inbox, not their email. You don't get access to their email. And if you know a little bit about online marketing, getting the access to someone's email is extremely valuable, because that allows you to communicate to your potential customers on an ongoing basis without getting interrupted by particular algorithms on social media, or maybe the other distractions on the other platforms. So to me, that's a huge con, selling online courses on these marketplaces, but maybe it doesn't matter to you when you're just starting out. Speaking of which, because you don't own those customers, there are also, on top of that, policies that usually you cannot sell other things to your students. Now, they've probably made this very, very clear in their terms and conditions, where they want an uninterrupted experience to their students, and they don't want their students to be sold to by you and your company and your other products and services. So it's a bit of a bummer for those of you who want to grow and scale. Want to learn more about creating online courses? Join the Savvy Course Creator community on Facebook. There's free tips and training, as well as live Q&A. The third option is to create an online course, but sell it on your own website. Now, this is my favorite option, of course. You'll have more control of your entire online course experience. Now, if you're not tech savvy, no worries. There are different service providers now that provide this as a software as a service, or SaaS. So companies like Teachable and Thinkific, they can provide you an easy drag and drop solution where you don't have to code your online course website. They can have templates for you already done so that you can just modify things here and there. So it's pretty intuitive and pretty easy to set up. You just need to pay a monthly fee, and there are different tiers, and you get different access to different features depending on how much you pay per month. Now, if you're more tech savvy or you want to do things the manual way, if you have your website, especially a WordPress website, there are plugins already out there where you can just start creating different parts of your online course components and then tinker it to your heart's content. Now, I already mentioned some of the advantages of this. You'll have full control of the branding, the overall experience of your online course. The journey for your students to get through to you and your different modules is customizable. The other thing is you'll have an advantage in terms of being able to set your own price. You can even go a step further and maybe create bundles. You can create different tiers of pricing for your courses. You can upsell the different courses that you might have, especially when you have more than one course. You can even turn it into a membership site of sorts and charge people monthly too, just like a subscription. You can also email your students, and that's great because you can get access to their contacts. But beyond that, these platforms will have integrations with email marketing softwares such as ConvertKit and MailChimp, and that way you can manage your email list better, and you can automate certain things to help you be more efficient in your overall business and scale faster. Now, when you have access to students, that means you can promote not just your other courses, but anything else that your business provides, other products, other services. Maybe you have a coaching call, maybe you have a consultancy that you want to promote, maybe it's a whole new different business that you diversified into. The sky's the limit. Now, there's a disadvantage, of course, because you will need to have, like I mentioned, an audience that's big enough and interested in what you want to sell. And that is your online course and the topics that they are about. This takes quite a bit of time to build if you have no audience right now. And it can also get very tricky because you need to start learning how to do proper online and digital marketing. The other disadvantage is, as I mentioned before, because it's a subscription tier, that means that you gotta spend money to have your online course available. Now, depending on how well your course is received and how you price them, this might not be a big problem because you'll be able to cover back your cost through the number of enrollments that you're getting. And because they are priced at a higher tier, usually your students' average revenue would be much higher than that of the marketplace solution I mentioned before. So, question of the day: which option are you interested to learn more about? I'll be creating more videos around teaching online in the upcoming months. So again, do hit the subscribe button to get notified every time I upload. And if you find this video helpful, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, because that will appease the YouTube algorithm and promote my video to more people. Also, feel free to share this video to people who need it. Maybe you have a community of coaches who have traditional businesses, maybe other trainers. That way they can have a potential to just maintain course during this harsh and challenging pandemic. That's all for now. Take care, and thank you for watching this video till the end. I'll see you all next time.